My Gavanan folks. This is your boy Kamal once again, and today we have the integral from 0 to pi over 2 of 1 over sine squared x times log of a plus b sine square x over a minus b sine square x, where about the parameters a and b, if my memory serves right, because I don't have it written on my script for some reason, I believe it was something along the lines of a being greater than or equal to b, and possibly a being positive, or maybe it was b being positive. To be honest, I don't remember, but I'll definitely remember when I actually look at the final result. Anyway, so what exactly is our strategy here? We do have a couple of parameters, but why not just treat this as a function of one parameter and when needed, vary the other parameter. So I'll define the integral function I of b as the integral from 0 to pi over 2 of 1 over sine squared x times the logarithm of a plus b sine squared x dx. And this is cool because, one, we have logarithms, and if I just subtract a couple logarithms, then I have the logarithm of the quotient, which should serve well for our target integral. Okay, cool. So I'll differentiate this thing with respect to the parameter alpha. So that gives us I prime of b on the right, and on the left-hand side, that is, and on the right-hand side, on switching up the order of the integral and of the integration and differentiation operators, we have the integral from 0 to pi over 2 of the partial derivative with respect to beta of 1 over sine squared x times the logarithm of a plus b sine squared x dx. So we're differentiating partially with respect to b. That means this 1 over sine squared x term is just a constant. Differentiating the logarithm yields a plus b sine squared x. And via the chain rule, we have sine square x up top as well. And I hope by now the reason of me choosing I of b instead of I of a is more clear, because, well, we can cancel out these sine terms after the differentiation so that we have the integral from 0 to pi over 2 of dx over a plus b sine squared x dx. Terribly sorry about that. So now we have a nice looking trig integral that I would like to solve by introducing a secant function, rather the squared secant function. And why are there two dx's over there? Maybe that's supposed to make up for all of the dx terms I've omitted over the course of so many videos. So I'll write this thing over here. And what I'd like to do is introduce secant square x upstairs and downstairs, the classic mathematician's trick of expanding by 1. And the reason for that is I now have the integral from 0 to pi over 2 secant square x dx divided by a times secant square x plus b. What's sine times secant? That's sine over cosine, which is tangent, so I have tangent square x. And of course, the secant square in the denominator can be expanded further as 1 plus tangent square. So we have secant square x dx over a plus a times tangent squared. So I can factor out tangent squared and write this as a plus b times tangent square x. And now I would like to further factor out a from here so that I have, or I could just factor out a plus b. So I have 1 over a plus b integral 0 to pi over 2 secant square x dx over a plus b plus tangent square x. And of course, this looks like the perfect opportunity for a tangent substitution. So we're going to let tangent x here equal t, which implies that secant square x, terribly sorry about that, secant square x, that looks way too cursive even for my own taste. I always struggle writing the secant function over here. So we have secant square x dx equal dt. Now, as t approaches 0, we get, as x approaches 0, we get t approaches 0 as well. And as x approaches pi over 2, the tangent approaches positive infinity. So t approaches that. So this implies that I prime of b, terribly sorry about that, is in fact equal to 1 over a plus b integral 0 to infinity dt over a plus b plus u squared, rather t squared. Sorry, I'm forgetting variables now. Normally it's a u sub or a t sub. Terribly sorry about that. I'm quite tired by now. It is what? It's 2:09 a.m. and it was quite a long day of coding. So we now have 1 over a plus b, and this is in fact the arctangent. So we have root a plus b over a times the arctangent of t times root a plus b over a once again, with the limits being 0 and infinity. As the argument of arctangent approaches infinity, that means the function approaches pi over 2. So we have 1 over a plus b times root a plus b. But wait, there's some nice cancellation here. Root a plus b over a plus b is actually equal to 1 over root a plus b. So we have 1 over root a times root a plus b. And we have pi over 2 minus, as the argument approaches 0, the function again approaches 0. So the result is just this really nice looking pi over 2 times this function here of a plus b. Okay, cool. So that, of course, is I prime of b, but now I'm interested in recovering back the integral function by integrating with respect to b. So on the left-hand side, we have I of b, and on the right, we have pi over 2 root a because we're integrating with respect to b. And what is the integral of root a plus b to the negative 1/2? That should be a plus b to the positive 1/2 over 1/2. The 2's cancel out quite nicely. And that means we have pi times root a plus b over a plus a constant of integration that we should calculate, or maybe not, because another half of the function would be, well, I of b, but b being replaced by negative b, so we're actually interested in I of negative b as well. And we can subtract the two results and use the linearity of the integration operator and, of course, log properties to get the target integral. So because this is just a constant of integration, I can shift from b to negative b, meaning that I of negative b is in fact equal to pi times root a minus b over a plus c, and the target integral of I of b minus I of negative b, and of course I can expand on this a little bit. We have integral 0 to pi over 2, 1 over sine squared x, terribly sorry about that once again, log of a plus b sine square x, minus, using the linearity of the integration operator, of course, 1 over sine square x times log of a minus b sine square x. So we can factor out the 1 over sine squared term, use log properties, and then there you have it. We have log a plus b sine square x over a minus b sine square x, terribly sorry about that, dx. So since we just have to subtract these two results, we get pi factored out, and we're left with a plus b over a. So yeah, it was a being positive indeed. Minus root a minus b over a plus a constant of integration minus that same constant of integration, and there you have it. We have the result for I as a function of both parameters a and b. Now, this is cool, but it's actually interesting to note the result when both a and b are equal. So in the case of a being equal to b, that is to say we have the integral from 0 to pi over 2, 1 over sine squared x, log. Now the a's can be factored out, so we're left with 1 plus sine square x over 1 minus sine square x, which does look like a really cool integral. And this thing equals, let's see, the second term over here is going to cancel out because we have a equal to b. So we're in fact left with 2a over a situation, which is just 2. So this thing equals pi times root 2. Or we can say that 1 over root 2 times this integral is just another way to write pi. Okay, cool. That was awesome, and I think in your next geometry exam, if you write the formula for area of a circle as pi r squared with pi replaced by this integral, that's definitely going to be valid as long as you multiply the integral by 1 over root 2. In that case, it is mathematically correct, and this looks pretty damn awesome. I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to like and subscribe. Do drop me a follow on Instagram as well. Thank you. See you next time.